What's happening, Trial Talk? It's Stu here. Hope everyone is doing good. Do you get a bad back using your paddle mixer? In this video today, guys, I'm going to talk about lower back issues from my own personal experience and some changes that I'm making with my paddle mixer. Recent changes to celebrate the big 4-0, just turned 40. And to celebrate turning 40, guys, I've made a decision to drop down to a 1-bag bucket. What are you thinking? Bloody hell, you're not going to get anything done. But this is something I've been sort of experimenting with over the last 2 to 3 months. Those of you that follow the channel, you'll know that I did a recent video. Well, it's not recent, probably last year sometime, called How Many Bags Should a Plasterer Put on a Day? And in that video I showed you a bucket that I've been using for the last, I don't know, 15 odd years, which is a Rafina 2-bag bucket, which is about this big. And in that video I explained that I'll never put more than 2 of them buckets on per day when I'm skimming. But I've actually made the decision recently to drop down that amount on these domestics, and the reason for that is I'm on my own now 90% of the time. I've got a labourer that does tasks for me, but he doesn't spread, he doesn't put it on. And I've had my days of meter munching, I've had my days of spreading on big drums of plaster, and again I'm of an age now where I know that if I were to carry on doing that into my 50s, it's a slippery slope downward and pathway to injury. I know that. So for that reason, I'm doing 2 things. I'm dropping down to a 1-bag bucket, and to be fair, I wanted to just show you something as well. To be fair, that tub there, filled to the very brim, put this wall on here, and these are tall ceilings, guys. These aren't average 8-foot ceilings. I think they're about 10 foot, something like that. So I managed to put this wall on last week. The chimney breast with the two reveals as well. Chimney breast with 2 reveals, and that went on quite deep. As you can see, that area there I had to build out a little bit with the first coat. So that went on, and also I got on these nibs. So that nib there, and these little sections around the radiator, and that, I'll be completely honest, that was enough. That was enough for me for a set. And I know there'll be lads watching, oh, I can put on 5 times that. Fair play to you, if that's what you need to do to earn the same money I earn. Whatever works for you, you do you. But I know that I can fill that to the brim and still smash out enough in a day to make the job pay, if you know what I mean. So, but aside from this change in the amount I'm putting on, so 2 of these maximum now, guys, for me. Fill to the brim 2. That's it. And also, guys, I wanted to talk about these mixers because, again, if you follow the channel, last year I did a review on the DeWalt corded mixer, which is a fantastic mixer. It's an absolute beast. I think it's the same as the cordless, apart from the obvious, it's got a cord on it. But I think it's the same model and, you know, the same power and all the rest of it. But there's one criticism I've got, guys. Well, there's 2 actually with this machine. And the first one is, underneath here, guys, is this little spring, this spring switch here. And in order to turn this machine on, you have to flip this over and then squeeze like that. And what I found is this keeps getting stuck. So I'm having to, you know, oil it up a fair bit, because over time, you can see here, look, it's starting to corrode already, that little pin. And it keeps sticking, which is a bit annoying. It's not the best design. Another thing is you can't lock the switch. So when I say lock the switch, on this cheap mixer here, if you can see inside here, guys, once you've got the mixer turned on, oh, that's plugged in. Once you've got it turned on, you then press this little button in here, and that locks it on. So it means that you can let go of the trigger and the machine still mixes up, and when you're done, you just press the trigger and it releases that lock switch. Most plaster mixers will have a lock switch on. For some reason the DeWalt, they didn't include that, which means that you've got to permanently grip the trigger throughout the entire mix until it's finished before you can release your grip. It's a small thing, but obviously if you're mixing up every day and every year and over a long period of time, it means that you're just having to, you know, grip constantly when you're mixing, which isn't great, because I don't know how long you take to mix, but if you're going through quite a bit, which you probably will be if you're using this machine, you're probably mixing up a 2 or 3 bagger. Doing that long term over and over again, gripping, it could potentially, you know, cause issues with your fingers and your thumb. So that's a criticism again on this DeWalt. But the main reason that I'm switching now from the DeWalt back to the cheap paddle mixer is because of the weight of this machine. I just find it's just way too heavy. Way too heavy. I mean, for what it does, for what you need it to do, I think it's just too heavy for domestic jobs. If I compare this cheap little thing, I'm not sure what the brand is on this, guys. I got it years ago, not bloody 10 years ago. It's just a cheap mixer from, I think I picked it up from Wicks's or something like that. But it's probably like a quarter of the weight of the DeWalt. And I understand that the quality and the mechanics and the machinery that go into this is different to what goes into this. I understand that, and this will remain in the arsenal for, you know, jobs where I need to knock up vast amount of browning or hard wall or even sand and cement in the barrel. This will come out to play to do those big, thick, stodgy mixes that this just won't have the power to do. But I am going to be putting this one back in the lockup and leaving this one out to play on the domestics, because it's just nice and light and nimble. The elbows don't need to be having a workout when you're using this one, whereas this one you really do, when you're using it every day, you really do feel it on your elbows when you're mixing up. So I wanted to just mention that. Now, lower back issues, if you look at the length of this, from the handle down to the point where the paddle locks in, I haven't got a tape measure on me, but if you can use the hammer as a gauge, hammer's what, 16 inches or something. I know I need a new hammer. You can see the difference between the handle and the edge of where the paddle locks in. On this one, look at the difference. So what tends to happen is when I use this cheap mixer, I'm getting a bad back because I'm having to stoop. Mixer's too short. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of these. Plasterers watching this video, you probably have already got one of these. It's a paddle extender. It's an extension bar. And what you do is you unscrew this. You can get these in 100mm, 150mm. Yeah, 100mm, 150mm, and even 200mm. A bit awkward with one hand, but you get the idea. So that goes in, and then your paddle connects onto there, and obviously you're getting another however much you need. I've guesstimated I need 100mm because that's probably the difference in the two. I'm comfortable with the DeWalt, don't tend to get any back issues with the DeWalt. So I'd say roughly, if you look at that now, from handle to end, it's roughly about the same. So I'm hoping that extra 100mm, guys, will stop me stooping when I'm mixing up. I'll be able to keep my back straighter. So if you are getting a bad back when you're knocking up, it might be because your paddle's too short and you need to add an extension bar in. It could also be because the paddle mixture that you're using is too heavy. It's just too heavy for the small domestic jobs. Just my take on it. It's not written in any law that you have to copy me and do what I'm doing. I've just found that, again, when you're doing this day in and day out, these little changes that you can make really do help with the niggles and you know, lower back issues, often from overstretching or stooping. Dropping that set size down. Try it before you knock it. Just try it. Take it right up to the brim, because I was quite surprised when you do take it to the top. It does cover a fair amount of surface area. So anyway, listen, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider doing that. We've also got a podcast that we release every month, the Plastering podcast on Trowel Talk. Consider listening to that. It's available on Spotify, Amazon Music, and all the rest of them. So if you haven't checked that out, check it out and join the Facebook group. I'll catch you next time.